What's up, everybody? KBR Sports back from the break. Remember, you all can follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. That way, you'll be notified whenever the KBR Sports podcast is posted, and also whenever the KBR Sports is streaming live, just like right now. Also, don't forget you can follow KBR Sports on Twitter at KBR_Sports, where I tweet live. Excuse me. Sorry. Where we see the live links and show topics prior to every single show. Also, don't forget you can call in at 571-991-0566 to join in on any KBR Sports topic, and also to give your opinions and thoughts on a topic you may want to be heard. Okay, y'all. So I kind of addressed a little bit of I talked about a little bit about dreams and goal chasing a bit in the last topic, in the last segment when I was addressing the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you want to hear that portion of the show, you can always go back and listen to it on there and just listen to everything I had to say, because I'm hoping I'm an inspirational person and you all took what I said and run with it. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even say that seriously. I tried to say like a Romeo Miller kind of voice, like a Pete Miller voice. Didn't work. But all right, y'all, on to the next topic. So right now, the news is coming out that the Cleveland Cavaliers were trying to package a deal to get Jimmy Butler, and they were trying to possibly package that deal with third team possibly getting into it. Obviously, other teams that have jumped into the mix now are been the Phoenix Suns, the Minnesota Timberwolves. So these are all teams that are trying to jump into the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes. But which of these players would exactly be a better fit for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Jimmy Butler or Paul George? Now, when you look at it, Jimmy Butler has 2 years left on his contract, would make him a more attractive trading piece for a team, because they'll at least have him for 2 years before he becomes a free agent. And he's also younger than Paul George, which is another benefit. The only downside to getting Jimmy Butler is that, one, he is shorter than Paul George. He doesn't have the wingspan as Paul George. And Jimmy Butler's not exactly the offensive the floor spacer that Paul George is. Jimmy Butler shoots around 36-37% from three, I believe, and Paul George is right at 39%, almost 40%. So, and Jimmy Butler's been more so towards the lesser end of the spectrum in terms of three-point shooting. But when you look at all-around offensive game, Jimmy Butler has Paul George beat, because Jimmy Butler averages about 5.5 assists on the season, while Paul George was at a measly 3.3. And both players were the focal points of their offense. And if anything, Jimmy Butler should have averaged less assists than Paul George, because Jimmy Butler shared the ball with Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo. And we all know Rondo does one thing, and that's get assists. So when you look at it, I mean, in my opinion, I believe that Paul George is the better fit, because the Cavs need more of a floor spacer and a guy that can get his own shot. And especially it helps them if the guy is a bigger guy, because then you have somebody who's long and lanky who can defend someone like a Kevin Durant. Not to say Jimmy Butler's not a good defender, but Paul George, because of his length, he can kind of stay with Kevin Durant better than Jimmy Butler, because Kevin Durant can shoot over anybody. But when you have a guy that can possibly make the job a lot harder, you go get that guy. So, in terms of all around offensive game, now the Cavs I've made it clear they do need help in terms of playmaking. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying prospecting, but in terms of playmaking, because they need guys that can help create plays. They need guys that can create for teammates. That's what LeBron spent a lot of last season bellyaching about, was about the fact that he's like, I don't have enough playmakers. I need more playmakers. I need a backup point guard. So that's when they went and got Darren Williams, who kind of folded in the finals. I think he had one good game, and I think that was the game he shot like 2 of 3, and we almost threw a parade for him. So there's a lot of room to improve on that end of the spectrum for the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. But I do believe that you need a guy that mainly you give the ball to and you say, get out the way, he's going to go get me a bucket. And I think that guy is Paul George. I think that guy, because Paul George is 3, and Paul George is just a better spacer. I believe if you get Paul George open, more quality looks, which LeBron does get for you, and you give him more opportunities to score in spots where he wants to score at, then you'll see become a way better player, a way more transformative player. He become a lot more improved, like Kyrie Irving has been. Kyrie has most efficient year of his career this past season playing with LeBron, and it only seems like Kyrie's going up from here as he's improving as a player at the age of 24, going on 25. So I think actually he might be 25 now. I think he's 24. He's either one of the two. But when you look at all that upside that you could possibly have by pairing those three together, That's one. I mean, out of those, I mean, this is just one of those things. I'm not saying that either one will be the lift that the Cavaliers need to push them over the Golden State Warriors, but it is a lift that the team needs, and it would definitely help them on their path to becoming possibly a contender with Golden State or whatever other team came out of the Western Conference. Because that's one of the issues that Golden State has presented with this league, is the fact that you don't have really talented matchups. Yes, we always assume that Steph and Kyrie is a wash somewhat, even though I think Steph is the better player. A lot of people go with Kyrie just because they like the gaudy offensive numbers, even though Steph is the better playmaker and rebounder to me. So Steph puts up the better all-around numbers. And a lot of times Steph consistently on a more consistent basis shoots better than Kyrie, but this isn't a Steph and Kyrie debate. But in terms of those two are normally a wash. At the shooting guard position, Klay Thompson takes that over the Cavs because J.R. Smith just isn't no Klay Thompson. Small forward, LeBron wins it any day of the week. Small forward or power forward, LeBron is going to win it any day of the week, whatever they will play him at. And then small forward or power forward, if you put Paul George up against Kevin Durant, he loses that. If you put Paul George up against Draymond Green, that's interesting. You might lose that as well, but it does become interesting. But at the end of the day, even if you win that matchup, you're still outgunned by one. Because Klay Thompson is still there. And it's not like the gap in the other few players is that large that the Cavaliers of the Warriors can't make it up in that gap. So that's that's the issue that the Cavaliers are facing right now. I think that's the main issue. That's why it's held them back from being able to beat the Warriors, and why they've been so perplexed in terms of how they should proceed, because of the fact that, I mean, you just don't know what this Warriors team. You don't know what you have to do to beat them. You don't know what moves will put you over the top. You don't know what moves will essentially help you in your path to trying to beat them. But all right, y'all, that's going to be it for this segment. When I come back, we're going to be talking about the 76ers trade the number 1 pick, and if this means that Markelle Fultz could be the other big piece that the Sixers could need to get back to relevancy. Stay tuned to KBR Sports, the best sports talk show 24-hour day.